organization lives and breathes ISO 9001, you already know that a new revision is way more than just a new number on a certificate. It's really a shift in how we think about quality. Well, the 2026 update is on the horizon, and it's built for the world we're all working in right now. So let's jump in and break down exactly what's changing and, what it actually means for you. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll cover the what, just setting the stage. Then we'll get into the so what, the nitty-gritty changes for 2026 and what they mean. After that, it's all about the now what, your practical roadmap to get this done. And to wrap it all up, we'll zoom out and look at the big picture. Sound good? All right, so before we dive into all the new stuff, let's just take a quick second to appreciate the sheer scale and purpose of ISO 9001. Yeah, this is not some small niche framework we're talking about. ISO 9001 is hands down the world's most popular standard for quality management. We're talking over 1 million organizations around the globe that rely on this thing to keep their processes consistent and their customers happy. That is a massive footprint. And the heart of it all is the Quality Management System, or QMS. The best way to think about it is like the DNA for quality inside your organization. It's all the policies, the processes, the procedures, everything that makes sure you deliver on your promise every single time, while playing by all the rules. Now, if you're starting to worry about a massive, painful overhaul, take a deep breath. The key phrase to remember here is that the 2026 revision is an evolution, not a revolution. It's building on the really solid foundation of the 2015 standard, just adding some much-needed clarity and tackling today's business realities. Okay, so what exactly does this evolution look like? Let's get right into the specifics of what's actually changing between the 2015 version and the new 2026 standard. So right off the bat, in clauses 4 and 5, you can see the standard is getting more specific. It's no longer good enough to just identify your interested parties. Now you have to formally figure out which of their requirements actually apply inside your QMS. And then we've got 2 huge new additions here. You now have to evaluate if climate change is a relevant issue, and there's an explicit demand for top management to promote both a quality culture and ethical behavior. That's a big deal. Moving on to planning and support. The refinements just keep coming. You know how the 2015 standard kind of lumped risks and opportunities together? Well, the 2026 version splits them apart, demanding a separate process for each one. And that's a really strategic move, right? It's pushing us to not just avoid what could go wrong, but to actively chase what could go right. Planning for changes also gets a major boost. You now have to plan for how you'll monitor if a change even worked. And wow, look at work environment. It's expanded way beyond just the physical and social to include psychological, cultural, and technological factors. That really reflects how we work today. And finally, when we get to operation and evaluation, things get even sharper. Your communication with suppliers now has to be more rigorous. You actually need to define requirements for how they interact with your customers and others. Internal audits, they need to be more focused with clear objectives baked into the program from the start. And for management reviews, there's a brand new input you have to include, discussing any changes to the needs of your interested parties. This keeps the whole QMS dynamic and in touch with reality. Okay, so we've seen the list of changes. That's the what. But what does all this actually mean for your day-to-day operations and your current QMS? Let's take a closer look. This is a big one, for sure. Your organization now has to formally ask itself, is climate change a relevant external issue for us? You have to evaluate it, and you have to document that decision. Now, this doesn't mean you need to create a whole new environmental policy from scratch overnight, but it does mean you need to prove you've thought about its potential impact on your quality system. Things like supply chain disruptions or changing regulations. And here's that shift from implied to explicit. It's no longer enough for a quality culture to just sort of exist. Now, top management is officially on the hook to actively promote and bake in defined ethical standards and a quality-first culture throughout the whole organization. This is all about moving quality from being one department's job to being everyone's mindset, and that has to show up in your policies, your training, and how your leaders behave. And you can probably see the ripple effect this is going to have. You'll definitely need to beef up your risk and opportunity processes so you're treating them separately. Your change management is going to need more structure. You'll have to update those supplier communication protocols, broaden how you define and manage your work environment, and, of course, add that new item to your management review agendas. Okay, I know that can feel like a lot to take in. So how do you get from where you are today to being 2026 compliant without pulling your hair out? Let's lay out a clear, simple, and actionable roadmap. Here it is, your 5-step game plan. First, start with a gap assessment to see exactly where you stand. Then it's time to update your documentation. Step 3 is absolutely critical. Train your people, especially your leadership, on what's new. Step 4 is where the rubber meets the road. Implement those new processes. And finally, don't forget to engage your suppliers and get them up to speed. See? Manageable?
So let's just pull back for a moment and look at the why behind all of this. What's the real goal of this whole revision?
The bottom line is really this. The world has changed. A lot. With hybrid work, new ethical questions, and massive global challenges like climate change, a quality standard has to adapt or it becomes useless. This whole revision is about making sure ISO 9001 stays relevant, robust, and truly helpful in the business world of today and tomorrow. And that brings us right to the final question. Look, this isn't just about passing an audit. It's about building a more resilient, a more ethical, and a more effective organization. So as you think about everything we just covered, the real question you have to ask is your quality management system ready for the future?